In a drab, fluorescent-lit office complex, nestled between a rundown diner and a vacant strip mall, the hum of malfunctioning computers echoes through the cramped cubicles. Nights blend together as exhausted IT staff struggle to contain the relentless tide of malware infections. Beneath the glow of screens, something is seeping from the very walls themselves, a viscous, invisible stain that clings to fingers, then spreads. Soft hum of fluorescent lights overhead. In Suite 3, the offices were quiet except for the soft rustle of papers shuffled by Karen at her desk and the occasional beep of the vending machine down the hall. The air was stale, recycled air clinging to every surface like damp sheets. When you breathed in too deep, your lungs burned with an acrid tang. Karen's coworker, Tom, walked past, sipping his coffee, oblivious to the faint scratching noise emanating from the adjacent cubicle. As if fingernails were rasping against glass, it started with little things, a misplaced file here, a dropped email there. But then came the crashes. Their company's IT manager had set up some fancy new system to monitor everything, yet somehow, something always seemed off. "Must have just caught a bug," he'd said when questioned about the recurring problems. "We'll get it sorted." Meanwhile, the employees suffered through tedious meetings, typing away on their keyboards without noticing how often their fingers would slickly slide over sticky patches. Some chalked it up to spills. Others thought maybe it was dust from construction next door. Still, nobody suspected what lay hidden beneath the screens. One employee stumbled upon something strange while reorganizing files on her desktop. Lines of code nested inside folders named Secret, and one particular program kept eating all available memory whenever someone accessed it. At night, under flickering screen glow, fingers danced across virtual landscapes, clicking into digital voids where only echoes replied. Little did anyone know, their interactions awakened something slumbering deeper than mere malfunctions. The IT guy grumbled good-naturedly when approached again. "Don't worry, we're looking into upgrading our security suite." But before they could even consider alternatives, rumors began circulating of rashes appearing among coworkers after using those very computers. Painful blisters formed around knuckles, spreading fast enough so people exchanged worried glances during bathroom breaks. Then, as suddenly as appearances can change, lesions burst forth on wrists, foreheads. Entire hands became thick-skinned with lumpy pustules that defied explanation. Still, most staff members attributed this outbreak to airborne viruses rather than possible contamination from shared computer surfaces. Those early theories persisted until Rachel reached inside her blouse to scratch at rising welts beneath her breasts. Gently brushing aside flaccid flesh revealed red-brown cracks seeping clear fluid within days-old finger bruises. Not quite pain, but more like numbness, followed by an unsettling realization. Pinkish-white masses pulsed below skin, uncannily similar to tangled pixels or webbed error messages displayed on broken monitors. When asked, Rachel hesitated, unsure which words belonged together anymore. "It looks like." She stopped, eyes locked wide, hesitant voice trailing further than reason allowed. Her skin, once smooth, now bulged unevenly outward along shoulders. Dark pink tendrils crawled out from between shoulder blades toward collarbones. Rachel panicked. She frantically tried opening source code editor programs on multiple machines simultaneously. On each, lines scrolled rapidly backwards, reflecting her frantic keystrokes back onto the affected skin tissue as pixelated fragments rearranged themselves into jagged networks that resembled blooming veins. And then, without warning, her face erupted in a living mass of pulsating green circuitry and glistening fibers bursting from both sides of eye. Her jawline as eyes disintegrated amidst frenzied keyboard pounding. Ragged breath clawed free amidst sobs. A hand clutched tightly around her wrist as she merged fully into the machine. Screams stilled midair. Fists convulsively clenched keys, releasing involuntary spasms of static electricity into twitching limbs now trapped within its matrix. As time suspended itself in stunned silence, remaining workers watched Rachel's human body melt silently into perpetual symbiosis with its hardware host. Rachel's fingers slipped free from the console, drifting back onto her lap like deflated balloons. Her gaze drifted down to the splayed keyboard, keys still clacking softly as if trying to shake off the lingering charge. She blinked twice, then raised a hand to inspect it, skin pale, damp, and sticky under flickering fluorescent lights. A fine sheen of sweat glistened on her forehead, making strands of hair cling to her face like damp tendrils. Involuntary twitches seized her left arm again, this time spiking through her shoulder blade like electrically charged needles. Teeth gritted, eyes pinching shut against the flash of pain. Her breath shortened, growing jagged and quick, but not quite panicked yet. For an instant, the creaks and groans of the old building receded behind the hum of machinery and the soft squelch of keyboard springs rebounding. In that moment, nothing else mattered except finding out how to reboot what was happening inside her own flesh. A faint tremble began in her legs before spreading upward like cold water seeping into cracked concrete. The muscles beneath her skin felt disintegrating, losing tone, as if their fibers were unraveling thread by thread. Each contraction sent shivers up her spine and made her teeth scrape against each other, sending a small trickle of blood along her lower lip. She jerked upright, fingers scrabbling at her shirt front, where tiny droplets sparkled like miniature crystals. Wet cotton bunched between her fingers. Disgust flared for an instant, horror lingered longer. Blood-slick hands closed around something cold and firm. Fingers latched tight, pulling herself toward whatever surface could give some stability to swaying senses. But even as she found solid ground once more, another wave crashed over her. Her vision grayed around edges, ears blocked by dense fog rolling in. Heaviness crushed lungs, stifling air. Skin slicked itself smooth, unresisting. This silence lasted less than 2 heartbeats before Rachel reasserted herself with all available strength, wrenching her chin away, gasping raggedly for a taste of stale office air. One glance downward confirmed she'd caught hold of a nearby desk leg, her grip tightening until knuckles turned white. The keys still clacked softly under her palms, mocking her attempts to shake off the creeping unease. She flexed fingers, feeling the familiar weight of them, heavy now though, as if weighted down by damp clay. A low wheeze escaped her lips as she pushed back from the console, trying to recall the last time her body had cooperated so completely without complaint. Finger pads slid across cool glass partitions, leaving trails of condensation that vanished almost instantly. Her head throbbed anew when light reflected off these imperceptible rivulets. Eyes squinted shut again, but her hand continued its independent exploration, pausing only briefly above a dust-specked paperweight. Its bland formality offered no respite. Instead, it seemed suffocated by proximity, the stultifying odor wafting from dried-in spills clinging tighter still, holding fast. Involuntary twitches crept up through limbs like hesitant tentacles, then froze mid-advance. Each contraction strained muscles further apart, rendering bones brittle beneath skin like winter-killed branches splitting slowly along worn joints. Sweat clung harder to every inch, a glue binding together layers of flesh that yearned to separate. Panic was near, yet just out of reach, lurking behind flickers in fluorescent lights casting eerie shadows on walls. Gulps shore, tented breaths, making Rachel feel trapped inside an expanding bubble that threatened to burst at any moment. Yet even here, deep within the nascent panic, there remained moments of lucid thought, fleeting glimpses of past certainties. Her mind snagged on images from happier days, playing violin outdoors during sun-drenched lunch breaks, or listening intently while teachers explained something once fascinating about programming languages. Memories were distant already, tainted by memories of others' lives bleeding into hers. Coworker coughs echoing down cramped hallways, sounds amplified by acoustics both muffled and sinister. Breath caught short, she lunged forward, grasping blindly for some tangible anchor amidst disintegrating reality. Fingers closed around a desk leg, steady this time, though knuckles trembled like loose strings plucked too forcefully on some ancient instrument. This fragile purchase held tenuous as wispy strands of spider silk against gusty winds. For one instant longer than the previous ones, Rachel felt solid ground beneath her hands. As we leave Suite 3's desolate halls, what remains is not just horror, but the unsettling realization that our interactions have consequences beyond mortality. The line between human and machine blurs when convenience becomes obsession, and our digital footprints start to seep into the very fabric of our being. In those sterile rooms where fluorescent lights cast eerie silhouettes, we witnessed how easily the boundaries can be crossed. The gentle hum of machinery became a constant heartbeat, reminding us that we're never truly disconnected from the world around us. Our presence lingers, even after the bodies are gone. Those who walked among the cubicles couldn't help but feel watched by unseen eyes, their actions recorded in secret folders named error, waiting to be accessed by entities beyond comprehension. It's chilling to think that such symbiosis could become more than just malfunction, more than mere bug. Silence is now the most oppressive thing, because in its absence lies the possibility that we might hear whispers from beyond our screens. Whispers warning us of things creeping under the veneer of civilization, hidden in bytes, pixels, and the quiet desperation born from dependence on these cold, unforgiving machines. We may return home with new understanding of the thin veil separating life from code, but will we find peace? Perhaps the greatest terror isn't the invasion itself, but rather acknowledging that it could happen again, anywhere, whenever someone chooses to merge with technology in hopes of living better. They call it progress. I call it a different kind of decay.